So we saw this from an article from Alexa Philippou, and people are not going to be happy about this. People are not going to be happy at all about this. And this is very, very true. And it says here, much of the Players Association's narrative for months has been the insistence that the league's proposals are so far from being adequate as to be insulting. This is not unusual tack for a union to take in such disputes, but sources outside WNBA have told ESPN that the union might benefit from talking more optimistically about wins it appears to have even before the deal is done. And sources outside WNBA, yeah, everybody being like, Rebecca Lobo is absolutely on the money. That nobody is like, look, there are people that are going to be, let's talk about the small percentage of people that are going to just clown WNBA just to clown the WNBA. Like, it is what it is, that want it to fail, yada, yada. Like, take away that. Let's just talk about reasonable people. It is in life, just like how, you know, the way people don't like when unbelievably rich people are there, you know, when they'll complain about something, yada, yada, if their life is so much easier than theirs. Just in general, it's just something that happens in life. If you believe someone's in a better position than you and they're complaining, you're not going to have any sympathy. You're not going to have any sympathy at all. It is what it is. And by the way, I'm not saying that the players can't complain. I'm just saying the general public are not going to have sympathy for you. Especially when they can no longer say, like, I'm going to talk about it in another video later, when Nekawumke is like, oh, you know, I really want there to be more WNBA millionaires. It's like, well, if you sign the CBA as is, by the way, you still can negotiate more. But if you sign as is, there's going to be 20 more WNBA millionaires immediately. Immediately. There are people that are going to sign 4-year, $2 million contracts. Immediately. Ironically, the reason why there is no WNBA millionaires, the easiest way to have more WNBA millionaires is to sign the CBA. Maybe you can get a little bit more, but to sign the CBA. But it sounds like from everything is that I'm trying to say this in the best way possible as to not like offend anyone. But it sounds like the conversations around this league is that it seems like there's almost as much of a priority, or it seems like they care almost as much as being perpetual victims as actually getting paid. Like, because let's be real, Nekawumke, like, if the WNBA continues the road it's going down and continues its growth, you're seeing what Aliyah Chavez is doing. You're seeing what's happening in women's college basketball, the relevance of women's college basketball, the relevance of even like what Audie Crooks is doing at Iowa State, what all these players are doing. And for the first time, there's that fan base that has transferred over. There was always the big fan base of college basketball, but Caitlin Clark really was the catalyst for that college fan base, becoming WNBA fans and continuing over to WNBA. I hate to say this, but a lockout ends all of that. A lockout allows them to be perpetual victims. Because they will never get paid what they're worth if there's a lockout. The top players will never get paid what they're worth if there's a lockout. Let's be real. Even if you signed, no matter what deal, no matter what deal it is, it's an American sport with CBA, some players get paid more than they're worth, some players get paid less than they're worth. Because every team has salary cap, yada, yada, yada. To get a true worth of players, there will be no salary cap. And each team is allowed to pay what they believe a player is worth. That's the only time players will actually get paid what they're worth, is when there's no salary cap, no draft, and anyone can sign whoever they want. Up until that, players will either be under or overpaid based on a percentage of a salary cap. Let's be real. But we got to be real here. Like, Alexa Philippou's right, as was Rebecca Lobo. The reason why public have turned against the players is because they have been offered a 700% increase and they've called it a slap in the face. Like, it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. If your job, if you were making $50,000 a year, and let's just say you were generating $1 million for a company, and you were getting paid $50,000 a year, and you renegotiated that into, were able to renegotiate your contract 7x to $350,000 a year. Would you be able to negotiate more? Sure. But like in no world is a 7x increase can be considered a slap in the face. In no worlds can it be. And The fact is that the players literally are like, we're not budging on all this. We want this revenue split. We want equity. They want buzzwords so that they can say they won. The reality is if there's a lockout, they've lost. Like, it's over. Like, I don't think they realize it's over. Like, everything that's happened is over. And it's at the stage now where you're like, is that what they want? Do they want it to just end? Because again, let's be real. The people that are negotiating legitimately, like, they're trying to say as well, like, the people that are negotiating, Nneka Nwumike doesn't care because she's in the last 3 years of her career, and not that she doesn't care, but she doesn't have like, there's no risk in a lockout for Nneka Nwumike because she's in the last 3 years of her career and Project B is going to be paying her, and she knows she's Nneka Nwumike. She's going to be making millions and millions when her career is done. Fee Collier, Stewie are two people that can actually benefit short term in terms of Unrival's boom and valuation. Short term, because of the equity they have, they can benefit short term by the WNBA shutting down. Long term, I don't think it will, because Unrival's going to shut down as well, but they can cash out now. And they can find a way of cashing out now. As is anyone that's an Unrivaled, has equity on Unrivaled, they can short term benefit from this. If we're being real here, even like, the players are doing themselves no favors, because you're now hearing people are siding with the fucking business. Like, how much do you have to piss people off that people siding with the business? And by the way, like, because they need these buzzwords, they will, like, the WNBA could literally say, we don't want to take, like, they could come back and put out a proposal and say, we don't want to take the long-term risk on revenue split. We will offer you base salaries, which are the equivalent of the revenue split you guys want right now, at a set increase of 5% salary cap year on year on year. And then we will look at this in 7 years' time, and we will then look at the revenue split. So basically, they get the money that they're looking for, but they will say no. They will say no to that. It sounds like you could offer them $10 million a year each, and they would say no because they don't have the buzzword of equity. Because they don't have the buzzword of rev split. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're negotiating. Like, they're negotiating more so to say on buzzwords than they are on sustainability of the league, on long term, on the best interest of everyone in the league, and not the 10 people that are at the negotiation table and the 10 vets. Like, and they have to be careful. This isn't like the NBA where you can kind of stick with it a little bit, and you can stick it out a little bit in 2011 because these players have been making tens of millions of dollars. They can hold it on. But like, I mean this when I say this, there are hundreds of players that are going to have to retire immediately. Like, if the WNBA doesn't exist, you don't know how few WNBA players will be able to survive. Like, you actually don't. Like, those players that are playing on minimum contracts in the WNBA and are okay players overseas and are getting fired from their teams. Let's be real. Let's be completely honest here. KK Timpson would be possibly working an office job if it wasn't for the WNBA, because she went to Prague, stunk it up, and got fired. Like, there are plenty of players that will go to Europe and they get fired and they're sitting on their ass. Pro basketball is not glamorous. The vast majority of pro basketball players, including the WNBA players, make less than 75k a year. And I know that seems like something, but I say less than 75, as in that's probably the median. Like, there are pro basketball players who are making living expenses $1,000 a month, and they, on top for that $1,000 a month, they have the coach team. Like, that is a reality for pro players. There have been former WNBA players that have ended up in Ireland, and I know the salaries the players get paid here. It is, like, if it was, it's barely livable wage. Barely livable wage. If the WNBA does not exist, in its current format, like, with the offer that the players have been given, players are going to make $1 million over the course of their rookie deals. They're going to be in the top 5% of earners worldwide right now. And as time goes on, if you show any sort of sustainability, they're going to be able to negotiate a much better CBA in a number of years. and the league is going to be in a better position. There's going to be the expansion teams. And also, let's not forget, the WNBA wants expansion fees tied into revenue. The reason why you can't tie expansion fees into total league revenue is that the expansion fees are not so that the league is not entirely so that the league generates more money. Yes, okay, it looks good on the books, but also the expansion fees are there so that, because if you guys don't realize it, that TV deal, that's 60 million a year, or say that's 200 million a year, up from 60. There was 12 teams when it started off. There's going to be 18 teams by the end of it. So instead of splitting 200 million by 12, it's going to be splitting 200 million by 18. It's going to go down. Like, by the end of this deal, it's realistically going to go down till, and they're talking about adding in more expansion teams, to 10 million a year by the end of this TV deal, barring the renegotiation period. So you can't pay the players 30% of that money, because if you pay the players 30% of that money, again, the salary cap's going to spike and drop based on expansion. And two, that completely offsets the fact that the TV deal is already being diluted. So the money has to go to those ownerships and the investors, because the TV deal is going to dilute it anyway, because of the amount of more teams there are. Like, it makes, I don't even know. And to be fair, all the players that are talking about slapping the face, like, oh, I'm not a major in economics. You don't have to be a major in economics to know that 200 million divided by 18, or let's just say there's going to be more expansion to 2031, by 21. By 20. 200 million by 20 equals 10 million. 200 million by 12 divided by 12 equals what? Is that 18 million a year? Like, big difference. Big difference. Hence why that expansion money is, being shared around, because you kind of have to you have to incentivize the owners to accept it, because if you don't incentivize the owners, why would they want any expansion? Why would they allow it to happen?